So I work with a lot of medias and then sometimes the junk stuff as well. That's like you can do a lot with it. No, I see something that interests me. If I drive around and go around Portugal and things like that, they got fantastic driftwood and things like that. And you can walk the areas where no one's been, and you can find all kinds of stuff. And then I go by a foundry. The marble I found is by the quarry, and I went and bought two beautiful pieces of pink marble, which one became a mother and child, and the other one I forget what I do with it now. But so I ended up carving. I kind of like the challenge, of sculpting the stone. It's kind of satisfactory, and
Jack,
I like it.
Jack, can I ask you a question? Yeah. We're trying to understand the depth and the width and the height of your pieces, and so what TJ is asking you is she's asking you if you have cataloged it. And I happen to know the answer to that question, but has anybody ever attempted to catalog your current art collection? Has anybody cataloged it?
No, it hasn't been done. No, actually not.
No,
I have now things are now in storage in Granada, and in
right.
also in Guadalajara. I've got some pieces there, and I've got in La Manzanilla. So I'm moving around like this, and now with the way the travel thing is and everything, I can't move very very easily, and importing stuff. And I'm not quite sure where that's going to go. So I've got stuff stored all over the place. And of course, most of my work is in Spain at the where I have a center. I've got a nice sized house there, and it's just stuff full of sculptures and paintings and stuff. So I couldn't even guess.
Well, let's say you're going to live to be the normal 125 years on the planet. My husband's grandfather lived 109. Well, it was 108 years and 11 months. But you see people living, 110, 120. But let's say the average lifespan is 125 on this planet, and that's based on God maybe, or whoever those were that said on this planet, because of the oxygen decay, the soul, the spirit, that on this life lesson journey we'd only live to 125. That only leaves you about 90 to 100 and then 25, so 35 years to get everything cataloged that you want to have copied, not sell the originals, because that's your estate, that's your Rutherford estate established for your foundation in our ACE Folklife. Well, we need the Jack Harris Rutherford Foundation set up for your estate, and get all the originals that are left on the planet, because there's only one Jack Harris Rutherford left. So you're not an AI, right? You're the only biological. So with your intent that God gave you, and because you taught soul and spirit, and that's what you want to be remembered for, and that's what you're wanting to talk about more so than the physical reality of the pieces. So I should let you do that, is to get to the soul. You want to talk about the spiritual soul part of it. Can I leave that up to Rich? And would you mind if I ask your Suzanne and Rich to ask your family members? Do you have any siblings, brothers, sisters, family members that will help the state set up?
Well, they probably would help if they were conscious of what's happening there. I have daughters and sons and all sorts of stuff. But I think Rich could probably handle some of that. So it would be good for him. He could sort of clue them in.
Okay. What about in Spain? Do they, I know with COVID-19, they may try to do like they did during the wars and keep the artwork in their country. They may not let you bring it back to America, so you may have to only sell it or have an auction at your home, or, get an auctioneer. I don't know how you're going to do that with your houses. Now, do you choose to live in America, or are you going to, what are you going to do with your homes? You've got 3 homes, but two in other countries, Spain and Mexico. Is that correct?
Yes, I have. I don't own property in Mexico, but in Spain I have 2 houses. And
two houses in Spain.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And one was in the village, and the other one is the house I built, and it's kind of an architectural little wonder. I had a lot of fun with it.
You built a house too?
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's artwork. That counts.
I didn't do all the jackhammering and stuff like that. It's quite a big house, and so I was quite pleased with that. But I decided and did all the manipulation to get it done, doing things unusual.
Have you done a picture? Have you done an oil painting of it?
No, I have photographs of it.
Okay, maybe Rich can do it like he does a wedding. If you give him a picture, maybe he can sustain that, and we can make a giclée of it. But we need to establish you in our group, in our Ace Folklife, like we do with the Smithsonian and our stories that we put, and we would put them on records or CDs or cassettes in the old time. But this is going right into our internet archives. So, but if you'd like to now, talk about, you want to tell people how you get the soul and the spirit because you love teaching. So this is how some people might not understand that there's great artists, and then there's those like you that feel like you're putting your soul and spirit and you want to capture the essence. So I get at my heart what you're talking about. Some people can do artwork and it looks like artwork, but it looks like stone or wood. You have the ability to capture the soul and the spirit and the God source of the wood or the whatever your medium is. But tell us what you're talking about when you're talking about your spirit and soul and you want to teach that or have taught it for how many years?
Well, I've taught it now, I don't know, probably about 50 years. I don't know. I've always started right off teaching art. As soon as I was studying, I started passing it on. So I have got this teacher's streak in me, something like that. And so I started quite early teaching, and which I enjoy. And then you're dealing with people and you're talking about art and you're involved with it. So it's good feedback all the time. And so I've been doing that for some years now. And so any place where I teach, I just set it up the same way. And then I have people coming from, well, actually, I've really international groups quite often coming from Israel and from Finland and so on and so forth. And so, which I like. I like the variety and everything like that. It's quite fun. And so then they go back and they probably, people ask where did that happen and all. So it's the best advertising I know of it. Just do a good job, basically.
Well, do you have any limited editions of certain pieces that are more popular in other countries than in America? How many pieces, well, we've already asked you that. We're going to have to get your family to catalog your estate. But in the meantime, with this Ace Folklife Association, with our club, is there a way that we can assist other artists with maybe helping them learn how to have other artists, COVID-19 pieces? Are there any pieces that you and Rich could do during this time, 2020, to support Ace Folklife? Can we ask you to work together and think of something with our colors? We've got our logo blues and greens and black and gold, but is there any way to establish that the Rutherford estate and foundation of artwork is established to help people around the world? And because you've taught around the world, how can we make this happen, Jack, to bring your estate into copies, duplicates, giclées, things like that, and get the Ace Folklife endorsement on it? Does that make any sense? Some commemorative piece.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, I talked to Rich about that, and he knows it pretty well. And I have, on the internet, I do have a pretty good website of work as well. It should be on there, and that's all available. So
we've got the pricing. So you've got some that you've numbered, like limited editions, already available. Is that a correct statement?
Well, a limited edition just means what it says there. I mean, they're not being turned out by the hundreds. You know, I do one or two pieces, and then or a small series. I don't do large numbers of things, and so I keep it that way, and it stays a bit, if anything, a little bit exclusive. You know, so people have to know about it and hear about it when they buy it. So that's when you get into it.
Can we work out a deal? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jack has a number of like prophetic pieces that would just say what's going on today. I mean, he did this one called "The Last Chair on the Titanic," which is a really dramatic piece. Remember that one? And he did a number of series of like it. You know, back in the day before this all happened, they look pretty tragic. I mean, as like fires were burning and people were running, and they're really kind of dramatic images. So
I think
if he had those,
prophetic is the word I use. I think you intuitively feel something's going to happen, and you see it. You see it visually right away. I've got a couple of pieces. The latest piece I did was I called it "Still Falling," and it shows people upside down falling, and that's happened in the last month or so. And I keep pulling it out, deciding whether I want to paint it or not. I've done the drawing, and it's sort of a cascades of humans coming down, and I think it's become more and more true. You know, that's what sort of happened. Cheery, of course.
Yeah. Again, I don't know what happened to his website because he had a whole website up, but yeah, he has a number of prophetic pieces that he did in the 80s and the 90s or 70s even. That you would look at today, and they're more relevant today now than they were then.
Well, does he have a webmaster? Maybe you can find out from his webmaster.
No, I don't know what happened to that because that was in Europe. But he had a website, and then it just went down because he didn't take. He wasn't available to take care of it. So.
I see.
He needs a. Yeah, somebody stole his name.
You need to look into that, don't I? Sort of the neglectful of that sort of thing. You know? Well, I'm working on my own.
You and I looked at that.
Yeah, that's a fault. I know that. So
we'll have to look up Jack Harris Rutherford and Jack Rutherford, but your name, just Jack Rutherford, I think was $15K or more than that. Right. For the name alone, just the domain name alone. But I don't know if it was in Europe. I don't know what company. Some companies come and go with the domain services and webmastering, but we'll just have to see what happened to your. But that's another reason to have Ace Folklife, because we want it to be like they do perpetual. We want Ace Folklife to help artists keep their art going, and especially limited editions. And like when I was an artist in Hawaii, and I had to go before them to become an artist of Hawaii, but my girlfriend did it for me with the state of Hawaii and took my artwork. So, but they made I sold pieces from $500 to $5,000, and then they made pogs, which is something it's sort of like, I don't know what a POG is, but they said it was like a milk, the little tops you used to pull out of the glass milk tops.
I don't know.
And they took my artwork. I didn't, but my deceased husband, he got a whole bunch of them and gave them to his family in Oklahoma to keep for investment of my artwork. But it was by my name, Thurmond, right? T.J. Thurmond, Teresa J. Thurmond in Hawaii. But it may say Thurmond Org. But the thing is that people went and made money in Hawaii off of my artwork. And of course, some of it's still out there. So what I'm asking you, this is something that other people did, and it helped the community in Hawaii and the gaming industry. And in these, I walked in, I couldn't believe it. My husband made a whole industry out of selling those pogs with my artwork. out of it. So there's ways that you can help other people make a living by selling your prints or your promotional merchandise. And